It's January 1st, and if like me, you're probably sitting down, reassessing the year past, looking for the year forward, and trying to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. So if you find yourself wanting to set and achieve realistic goals, stay tuned. Hi guys, it's Bláithín from A Style of Living, and the holidays are over, the new year is upon us, and I'm sitting down and reevaluating where I was and where I want to be. And today I want to share with you a goal setting system I have been using for the past year, and it's helped me to achieve some pretty big goals and dreams of mine that, if I'm totally honest with myself, I've wanted to do for a number of years, one of them being retire from my career as a wedding planner. For a number of years, before I sort of really thought about goals and goal setting and how to achieve them, every year, like I'm sure countless other people, I would sit down and I would write down a whole load of like resolutions or goals or projects, whatever name you want to give it. And from my late teens to my early 20s, I kind of had the same 3 goals or resolutions every year. And they at the time were to go to college, write a book, and lose weight. I sort of naturally kind of went to college when I finished school and after my gap year. And so that one sort of took care of itself in a way. But the other 2, write a book and lose weight, was something I had wanted to do for years. And at the end of every year, I could never figure out why they just hadn't happened. I wrote them down. They were my resolutions. They were my goals, but they never ever sort of materialized. I never got that book. I never lost the weight. And then one year it kind of clicked with me. I don't have the book because I never actually sat down to write it. I just wrote, I would like to write a book. And so about, gosh, it's 10 years ago. In fact, 10 years ago today, I actually posted my manuscript off to what would become my publisher, or who would become my publisher. So wow, that's a pretty big milestone. And that was a non-fiction book. It was a book on wedding planning called Distinctive Weddings: How to Tie the Knot Without the Rope Burns. About 5 years later, when I was 30, so I wrote that book when I was 25, so it took me probably a good 7 years, not to write the book, but to actually realize. And then 5 years later, I wrote another book called The Meaning of Purple Tulips, but that's beside the point. But basically, it took me a long time to realize that writing down goals or resolutions is only the start of the process. So last year, I had a lot of big things I wanted to change in my life, and I was just walking through a bookstore in our local shop, and I came across this book, My Life Goals Journal by Andrea Hayes, and I really liked the book, and the way she kind of, shared her own experiences and what brought her to write the book. And the way she just kind of mapped out the year and goal setting in general. And the first, I suppose, chapter, which is also the first month of the year, she talks about this goal setting system called Smart Plan, which she sort of created herself. It's actually the combination of 2 different sort of goal setting systems. One, which is an acronym called SMART, which is largely attributed to a man called Peter Drucker. And then Smart Plan is the combination of his and sort of hers together. And this is what I used over the past year to achieve a number of different big goals and small goals for myself. And Smart Plan system, or the acronym, it kind of has 9, I don't know if steps is the right word, but 9 kind of specific areas. And Smart Plan is is an acronym, so each letter stands for a different sort of part of the process or step to achieving your goal. So what I'll do is I will go through what the acronym means, and then I will show you how I took my goal last year and broke it down into the steps and how I achieved it. So I've got my note here just so I don't forget a step in the process. So the S stands for a simple, specific goal. The M for measurable. The A for achievable. The R for realistic. The T for tense. The P is for positive feeling. And the L for love. The A for action. And then the N for no excuses. So you can see there are sort of 9 steps in the process. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's exactly 9 steps to achieving your goal, but there's 9 steps to the process. So as I mentioned, I had a number of kind of big and small goals that I wanted to achieve, and I sort of liked to write them down every year, and I would normally write them down in my daily journal. And maybe that's where I was going wrong for me. So I decided that I would actually purchase a specific goal journal. It was just like a little notebook. I actually got it in TK Maxx. I think it was like €6. And so what I did was I actually wrote down all of the different goals I wanted to achieve. And then I left a few pages for extra goals that might pop up along the year if I did really well and achieved everything. And then I gave each goal its own section. And so my first big goal for last year, like I mentioned, was to retire. For the last 13 years, more so last 10 years, I've been a wedding planner and I've run my own company. And over the last sort of 2 years or so, I've been very fortunate in that my company really grew really well, but it also meant I had no time for anything, no time for myself, no time for anything outside the business. And to be honest, I was sort of at the point where I would have to really enlarge the company or to do something drastic. And so I decided on something drastic, and I decided I wanted to retire. While I loved the job and the people I worked with, that I wanted something different for my life. And so a big goal last year was, well, it actually started probably 6 months prior to January of last year, but really the action had to be taken in the January, was to retire. So, like we've gone through the SMART Plan acronym, this is how I took that goal of retiring and broke it down. So the simple goal was I wanted to retire from wedding planning. Sounds simple. It was not so simple. And to make it measurable, my goal was to retire by the end of 2017. So by the end of the year that has just passed. To make it achievable, I decided that at that point we had no weddings beyond September 16th. And so I decided that we would take no further weddings beyond the end of September of 2017. And to make it realistic, that we would begin to reduce our outgoings as much as possible and to look at ways of replacing our lost income. And my husband, who worked in the company, would have to go find a job somewhere else. Which was both exciting and challenging at the same time. And then to give it a tense, so to really sort of put, kind of like my money where my mouth was, all of these things would have to start immediately. And positive feeling was that I knew that even through the difficult 9 months that lay ahead with the weddings that I still had to do, the way I was feeling myself, that at the end there was an end in sight, and that the end was pretty close. To put love into it, it meant that I was actually reprioritizing myself and my life, my relationships, and obviously also time with James as well. Even though we worked together, most of our time was work time, all of the time. So yeah, that was important to us. And to give it action, it was something we started doing and telling people immediately. And then to have no excuses Well, to be honest, I really had no excuses because it was something I really, really, really wanted to do. And so I didn't come up with any excuses. Tilly wants to come join us. Hold on there a sec. She might be very quiet and come in very, very quickly. Go sit down. So after I had sort of done out the SMART Plan acronym, I then started to make a list of specific to-dos that I would have to complete or achieve in order to achieve my goal. And I started to do this immediately. So things like tell staff, tell clients, tell suppliers, prepare other income streams, a whole load of specific things that I would have to do or achieve or happen in order. So I had this big massive to-do list in order to achieve this goal. And then every week I set aside time to work on the goal. And I did that with all of the goals that I wanted to achieve for the coming year. Now I realize for some people that perhaps a notebook is, too much, it's too much of a commitment, or it's not your thing. I actually, before I purchased the notebook, because I started my goals first and then I realized I'd like somewhere more kind of central to keep everything together, I actually just took a piece of paper and wrote them out. And I actually have this saved from last year, so I will make this as a free printable on my blog. I'll put a link below so you guys can download something that's super quick and easy and something that you can start immediately. Now my top tips for, goal setting, particularly if you are new to this and if you have trouble achieving them, is first and foremost, think small, as in don't write a huge amount of goals that you want to achieve. Stick between 1 and 3. 1 to 3 goals, things that are important to you. They can be really, really small, like tidy the linen closet, or really, really big, like retire. Whatever they are, if you have difficulties, start small. So think 1 to 3 goals. Set aside time every week or every day, depending on your goal, to actually achieve them. Whether that be 5 minutes or an hour, obviously you'll know how much time you're going to need for your goal. The next thing is find somewhere to document it or write it down or note it or record it, whether it's a piece of paper that you've downloaded from my blog, or it's a notepad, or it's an app on your phone, or the note section on your phone, or a Word document on your laptop. Wherever it is, write it down. If you are new to this and are having trouble with achieving your goals, get an accountability buddy. So a friend, a family member, a total random stranger. Hey, if you want to email me, I'll leave my email link below. And if you want me to check in with you every couple of weeks or every couple of months to see how you're doing with your goals, I would be delighted to do that. It really, really helps. So yeah, keep them small in number, record them, and have somebody who's going to check in with you to make sure that you are actually achieving them. And hopefully this time next year, we're coming back to share even more goals with each other and taking on bigger challenges in our life. So for this coming year, would you like to know what my big goals are? I haven't given this a huge amount of thought, but they are the 4 things that have kept coming up for me for a number of months now. And they are, 1 is financial stability. Obviously retiring from my career and, sort of my husband getting a new job, our finances have shifted a great deal. So I want to sort of reprioritize making sure that that is stable for us. The other thing is that I want to really think about my short-term career goals. As I was coming to my retirement, things drastically changed for us, in that we discovered I was pregnant, which was a big, happy surprise for us. And so that changed things sort of significantly for what our future plans were. And so my career goals at that time changed. Things unfortunately changed again when I went into early labor at just over 17 weeks, and unfortunately our baby didn't survive. only for a few moments. And so I'm still getting over that. And another one of our big goals for this year is to hopefully have a baby. And so that means that my career goals have massively shifted. And so I want to focus on some short-term career goals. The other is to continue with my weight loss that I started last April. And then the fourth, as I mentioned, is to have a baby. So they are my 4 big goals. And over the coming days, I will be using the SMART plan method to flesh those out and to hopefully achieve them in the coming weeks and months. If you would like to share your New Year's goals or resolutions, please do so in the comments below. And as I said, if you want an accountability buddy to check in with, I would be delighted to do that with you, and perhaps you can be my accountability buddy too to check in with as well. As I said, I will leave the download for you below on my blog, and my email address will be below as well in case anybody needs any help and support. But the very best of luck for 2018 and with your goal setting. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please do give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, do remember to subscribe. Subscribe, and I will see you next time.